Hi, my name is Zach Simmons, and this is my Chicago Bears Journal. So right now is Week 8. We just finished the game against the Saints. Now we have the Chargers. Before we start taking a look to this Sunday, I want to talk about a little bit about the Saints game. And that was not it's not a fun game to talk about, that's for sure. There's a lot of blame right on Trubisky right now, and I have to admit he deserves some of it. He definitely deserves a very good amount of it. But it also comes down to Nagy did not have a good game plan set. We didn't have a good defensive game plan, and we didn't have a good offensive game plan. When any game you come in and only run the ball 7 times, it's going to be hard to win. That's just how this works in the NFL. The NFL nowadays is a passing league, that's for sure. But you're going to have a greater chance of winning games when you only run the ball opposed to only passing the ball. You've got to gain a rhythm, and you can't do that just by passing the ball, especially when you have Trubisky coming off of a shoulder injury. Given it's not his throwing shoulder, but still there's all the movement that he has, it still affects him. It definitely affects how he stays in the pocket. Excuse me. But our offensive game plan, it just wasn't there. I do have to give Trubisky credit for this, though. 54 passing attempts, the most attempts he's had in his career, and no interceptions. You got to give him credit for that. I know he threw a couple throws that should have been picks, but the reality is he didn't throw a pick. So his throws, yeah, he didn't make a lot of the throws that he should have. Yes, he made some of the wrong reads, but it still comes down to, I think, he needs to work on his footwork. He's had this problem since he entered the NFL. He hasn't been able to master the footwork. And part of the blame could be that he's Nagy's kind of putting too much on his plate, that he's thinking too much. In practice, he's thinking too much. He's trying to learn every single thing at once, and you just can't do that. There's a point in time that you just need to have him play. And that doesn't necessarily ride on Trubisky. That rides more on Nagy. Nagy needs to give Trubisky permission to just play. Because I don't think Trubisky's just going to go out there and do whatever the coach is telling him not to do. He's going to do what he's told. That's the kind of player he is. But Nagy needs to tell him, just go. Just do it. This can cause a lot more problems. But overall, it'll allow him to have some of his best games in his career. If he can just be aggressive, go for it instead of thinking, I got to go this, and then this, and this, and this. If he can just say, okay, that guy's open, bang. And just stop thinking as much as he is. Because I think he's making it more difficult than it actually is. And a lot of that rides on Nagy. That's just how he's coached. This is a really tough system to learn, one of the toughest quarterback systems in the NFL. So I don't think it's so much that Trubisky's just not football smart. I don't think it's because Trubisky's just not smart. I think it's more that Trubisky's only in his third year in his career, and for the last 2 years he's been thrown everything, especially this season. He's been thrown every single thing in sight. So he's just not comfortable. He's thinking too much. He's not playing. He's not relying on his instincts, which is causing his confidence to go down, which means he's not going to be as aggressive because he doesn't believe in his ability anymore. So I think a lot of it does go on Nagy. And this last game, it definitely rides more on Nagy, I think, than it does on Trubisky. Now, a good quarterback, even with a terrible game plan, should still excel and should still bring their team into a winning position. That's something that Trubisky definitely did not do. So he definitely needs to take a step up. But Nagy also needs to take a step up. And honestly, I'm thinking he needs to let go of the play call. He needs to let go of the play call. He's shown throughout this season he cannot play call. He's not a good play caller. We even saw this in the playoffs. One of the reasons we lost, it wasn't Cody Parkey, it wasn't Trubisky. Trubisky had one of his best games in his career. It was a terrible game plan that Nagy finally fixed late in the fourth quarter. But at that point, it was too late. Trubisky did his job. We should have won, but it shouldn't have come down to Cody Parkey double doink field goal. But that's kind of this last game. Defensively, not good as well. I said the one thing we need to do is we need to cover Michael Thomas, get him out of the game. How we do that is have Kyle Fuller play more aggressive on him instead of playing too soft, because they're going to throw those under routes to Thomas if Fuller's playing too soft, and that's exactly what happened. We saw a lot of Thomas because Fuller was not aggressive enough. He needs to play more aggressive against a player like that. Thomas doesn't necessarily go for the large gains. He goes for the small gains. Teddy Bridgewater likes to dink and dunk the ball. He doesn't necessarily go for the deep ball. So in that case, we need to play more aggressive because more than likely, Michael Thomas will not be going deep. Ted Ginn, on the other hand, will more than likely go deep. Let the safeties take care of him. We have good safeties who can cover. But when it comes to Fuller, he should have played more aggressive. And I also said that we need to have some pressure on Bridgewater. I think in the first half we had some good pressure, but because of the soft coverage, Bridgewater's a very quick thinker. He knew, okay, there's Michael Thomas. If we were to play more aggressive, we would have had more sacks, and this game probably could have gone differently. But we also have to remember that the defense was on there too much. They were definitely out there way too much, and that comes down to we didn't run the ball. I don't care if we're down by 3 scores. We need to pound the rock. We need to run the ball, because if we keep passing, Trubisky could not get in a rhythm. If we ran the ball, he could have gotten in the rhythm. But also, we're wasted clock. Instead, we wasted a minute, and the defense goes back out there after barely getting any rest. That's not helping the defense whatsoever. So now this week against the Chargers. The Chargers are a good football team. Don't look at their record. They're 2-5. Don't look at it. They should have won every single one of those games. They should be 7-0 right now. The only reason they're 2-5 is because they have not been able to play in the fourth quarter, but they have been able to lead by half. This is a good football team. Very good offense. Even with the amount of injuries they have in defense, they have still had a very capable defense. Given though their passing defense really has not been the best, 28th in the league, I believe, in yards per attempt when it comes to passing. And the Bears, not very good when it comes to yards per attempt. So it'd be very interesting to see what Trubisky can do against this defense, because as a passing defense goes, this is really not the best passing defense. And when it comes to the Bears, definitely not the best passing offense. So it'd be interesting to see exactly what we can do, but Trubisky does have a chance. This is a bad passing defense. We need to go out there and attack that. Trubisky needs to be more aggressive. Take on the safeties. Duran James is not out there. Attack the deep ball. Then when it comes to our defense, this team, they don't do a lot of those under routes. The only player you really have to worry about on short gains will be Austin Eckler. So that's going to be Roquan Smith. There's going to be a little bit more on Leonard Floyd. Usually I would say put Floyd as a pass rusher. Don't put him out there in coverage. This is a game you might need him out in coverage because Austin Eckler will get a bunch of receptions against us. We need to cancel that out. So I would put Floyd a little bit more on Eckler. And then have Roquan kind of take that. So you're going to see a lot of Roquan tackles just because they're going to give the ball to Eckler quite a bit. Even though Melvin Gordon's back, Melvin Gordon is definitely the premier running back. But when it comes to receiving back, that's when you're going to see Austin Eckler. So you're going to see a lot of plays for Austin Eckler this week. We need to be able to answer that. Now, Keenan Allen might not be playing. He didn't practice the last couple days, so his status is definitely up in the air. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. It might be a game-time decision, or as early as tomorrow, we'll hear if he is ruled out. That's a pretty big deal because he's a big threat, big deep threat, but they also have another deep threat out there in Mike Williams. We need to be able to cover the deep ball this time. Last game, it was more we got to cover the short gains. This game, we got to cover the long gains. So I'm actually kind of fine with Kyle Fuller being in soft coverage this game, because I think if we just eliminate the deep ball, I think we might be able to get a shot. We might have a chance to beat them. But Phillip Rivers, I love Phillip Rivers. I think he's an underrated quarterback. And that being said, for being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, a lot of people nowadays kind of think he's too old, can't do anything. He's still a really good quarterback in this league. Fourth quarter, he's been showing his age. But in the first 3 quarters, he's fine. He's great. We need to be able to rush him a little bit because his thing, he doesn't necessarily throw the ball off very quickly. We need to be able to get there. And that's going to be a little bit harder when Akeem Hicks is gone and if we have Leonard Floyd out there in coverage. So we need to be able to cover well. I know I'm saying soft coverage, but if we can get some guys going in there, maybe, just maybe, Rivers is not going to make some smart decisions, which he's been throwing quite a bit of interceptions. He did not look good against the Titans last week. Maybe we can get 2 or 3 picks against them. If that's the case, we can win this game against the Chargers. But this is definitely a must-win situation for the Bears. If we lose another game, I know we're just 3-4 at that point, but this is a team that's spiraling down quickly. And then if Trubisky doesn't play well at all, I've been trying to be hopeful for him, been trying to root for him still, but if he cannot excel this game, I'm kind of done with Trubisky. But I also know, I said this a couple weeks ago, I don't think we have another chance for someone else in 2020. We're going to have to give up a lot. It's more likely in the second round, no one's going to be there. So if we need to draft a quarterback, we're going to have to trade up. And then we can trade for a quarterback. We can pick up Marcus Mariota. We can, no matter what, it's going to cost us something. It's going to either a draft pick, a player, or it's going to cost us a good deal of money because Mariota will not be cheap. So, more than likely, Trubisky will be our quarterback in 2020. Chase Daniel, not going to happen. Definitely not throughout the season. It will be Trubisky. Meaning that he has, after this game, even if he tanks, he still has 9 games to go out there and prove us wrong. But at that point, I have to say my faith in him is pretty much gone if he cannot do anything against this defense. Because like what I said, when it comes to passing defenses, this is definitely not the best defense. So we need to be able to attack. Trubisky needs to stop playing soft. He needs to stop thinking. It's strange to say that quarterback needs to stop thinking, but he does need to stop thinking and just go with his internal instincts. He can play. I definitely believe that he can play. I think he's just overthinking everything. So if he can just get that out of his mind, see a guy open, throw to him. He needs to build up his confidence, needs to believe in himself more. I think that's his main issue. I think Nagy's put too much in his mind, and I think his confidence is way down, that he doesn't trust himself. He's trusting everything Nagy's told him, which makes him overthink everything, and that's the result we get now is he can't throw the ball, he's not running, he's not doing anything. So hopefully he can just stop thinking. But we definitely have a chance against the Chargers. Like what I said, this is a decent defense, but more than likely we can play against this defense. This offense, though, our defense has looked terrible the last 2 games against Oakland and against New Orleans. We need to stop Phillip Rivers. This is a good offense. But it mainly comes down to stopping Eckler. That's why we have Floyd there in coverage to kind of make sure Eckler's a non-factor. And then we also have to protect ourselves against the deep ball because Mike Williams, very quick receiver. Phillip Rivers can still launch it. He will throw it deep. We need to be ready for that. That mainly relies on Clinton Dix and A. Jackson being where they're supposed to be and making sure no deep shots like the one that we had against the Saints are taken. But that's what I have for this week. Hopefully things can turn out well for us. We were 3-3 last season. However, there's a lot more optimism saying that we almost beat the Patriots at this point. We did lose against the Dolphins, but we're definitely not in the same spot that we were before. But one win here can get everything going again. So hopefully we can come out and do what we did last season, kind of go off of last season. And maybe, just maybe, we still have a playoff run, even though Green Bay and Minnesota are playing great. So thank you so much for watching. I'll have another video out next week. Have a good rest of your day.